Сайн байцгаана уу хүн үзэгчтэй. Өнөөдөр манай де факто нэвтрүүлгийн зочноор Францын алдартай Бордо мужийн Анжелус виноны тууцын дарга Жон-Бернард Грениэр оролцож байна.
Жон-Бернард Грениэр Францын Шату Анжелу дарсны эдлэнгийн Захирлуудын зөвлөлийн гишүүн. Тэрээр Францын Бордогийн их сургуулийг эдийн засагч мэргэжлэр төгссөн ба үргэлжлүүлэн бизнесийн удирдлагаар суралцжээ. 1984 онд анх дарсны бизнест хөл тавьсан ба Шату Анжелуд 1987 оноос одоо хүртэл ажиллаж байгаа юм. Монгол анхудаа зочилж байгаа бөгөөд дарсны үзэгсэлэнд оролцохоор иржээ.
Good evening.
Good evening.
Welcome to Mongolia.
Thank you very much.
So, what brought you to Mongolia?
First time in Mongolia. First time we arrived yesterday, and we stay 3 days.
Okay. And you will introduce the wine, or?
There is an exhibition, a wine exhibition in Ulaanbaatar. I think this is the third time it happens, and this is the first time we are invited to come.
Mongolia is a very new country relatively to wine culture, maybe some just 20 or so years, compared with thousands of years of your vineyards and your Bordeaux. Please tell us why Bordeaux province in France is so famous in the wine world.
Probably for two reasons. Because it is a good place to produce wine. You cannot produce good wine everywhere in the world. You don't need, if it's a desert, and I know that Mongolia has a large part of desert, probably you cannot grow vines.
Of course.
And the second reason is the history. We were the first to have a large production of wine which was exported all around the world. So we have the anteriority, as we say.
When you have started to produce wine in Bordeaux?
It started exactly 1,600 years ago, more or less, you know.
Okay.
It's a long story.
It's about then. It's about the end of the Roman Empire time.
Exactly, and we had the vines brought by the Romans from the south of France up to Bordeaux, you know.
Oh, I see. So the south of France even had a culture earlier.
Yes, the story of the vines begins in the Middle East. It comes from the local place now of Iran and Syria. You know.
I see.
And the Phoenicians brought the vines to France 2,000 years ago.
I see. Okay, then the culture is about 1,600 years old. Then the soil, particular soil of Bordeaux, the location, the river.
Yeah.
The river is even different on two sides, right?
Yes, we have two rivers, and we have different types of soil with clay, limestone, and grave soil. It's a great variety of soil, but thanks to the great variety, we can produce wines with different characters.
So what are those differences of wine in Bordeaux?
Bordeaux is producing white and red wine, and the varietals are very different, and they are coming not only from France too, but for the parts of the world we have talked about a few seconds, and we use Merlot, we use Cabernet Franc, we use Cabernet Sauvignon, but you know there are thousands of varietals in the world.
White wines.
First, I come from Saint-Emilion, which is what we call the right bank part of Bordeaux. And in Saint-Emilion, we produce only red. If we want to produce white, we produce white, but we don't call Saint-Emilion. We call it white Bordeaux.
Yeah. Okay, so a particular reason, let's talk about Merlot.
Yeah.
Merlot Bordeaux means the Merlot kind of grapes.
Yes.
From Bordeaux soil. What makes different the Merlot from Bordeaux?
Merlot is a varietal which is planted not only in Bordeaux, but in Italy, in California, in Chile. So probably in the beginning, this is the same varietal, but which gives a different taste according to the soil, the underground soil, and the climate. Because the climate is very important for the taste, the ripeness of the fruit, and the taste of the wine.
And when we talk about Merlot wine, we call it dry wine, semi-dry wine. But Merlot is always dry.
Oh yes, in Bordeaux the red wines are dry.
Okay.
You have some countries where the red can be sweeter, but in Bordeaux you must not have what we call the residual sugar in the bottle.
Yeah. Does it happen? How often it happens that you have residual sugar? Do you mix sugar with the wine? Or?
No. In the old times, when the ripeness of the fruit was not perfect, we are allowed to add some sugar to have a minimum of alcohol. There is a minimum to be called Bordeaux, but now it's finished because more and more now we have a ripe fruit at the beginning of the harvest.
So when do you grow it? What is the time seeded, planted, then later on harvesting? What is the time terms? Which month you start?
This year we began on the 8th of October, which is a little later than usual. We can have earlier vintage, and it happens sometimes early September. In general, the general date of beginning in Bordeaux for the red wine is the 25th of September. General date, you know.
Harvesting.
Yeah, harvesting.
Okay. So then you're harvesting. Probably the next process is you're bringing all together. Then what is going on afterwards?
Oh, we pick the different varietals not in the same time because they are not ripe all together.
I see.
No? In general, the Merlot ripe first, then the Cabernet Franc, then the Cabernet Sauvignon, and they are picked separately, and the winemaking process is separated.
I see.
We have pure Merlot vat and we have pure Cabernet vat, and the process, the alcoholic fermentation, is made separately.
Okay. Tell us about your chateau. Why chateau? What does that chateau means in France? How about this Angelus? What is that about?
A chateau is a castle in English. It means a big construction with towers. And you know, in the old times, the lord of the country used to live in a big chateau surrounded with protection, big walls, and so on. In Bordeaux, the terms of chateau are different. It means an estate with, of course, a building, a house to live, a cellar to make the wine and age the wine, and all the vineyards which are all around the construction. This is called a chateau.
What is the difference of your product compared with other, say, Merlot from Bordeaux?
We don't use only Merlot. Bordeaux, the specialty of Bordeaux is to make blend. It means a mixing of two, sometimes 3 or 4 varietals. What is the originality of our chateau? On the right bank, we are in Saint-Emilion. We produce red wines on very old soil, which are made with clay, limestones, and sandy soil. And you have a great number of different styles of wine because the soil of Saint-Emilion is made with hills, with slopes. South slopes are on the south, slopes are on the north, and you have the plateau. And so it means different exhibition to the sun, to the wind, different quantity of water and the underground. So when you walk from Angelus to the neighbor, the soil is different, the proportion of varietal is different, and the winemaker is different, and the wine is completely different.
Please tell us about the economics of your wine in general in France and in Angelus too.
The economy in general, this is a
big part of economy.
Big part of, and especially big part of the world trade of French products. Great specialty are wines, champagne, of course, and some spirits too, cognac and so on.
And along the wine, I think, along those sort of beverages, wine has a certainly very important role.
Yes, it's not only a food, it's a way of life.
Way of life. Well, speaking about way of life, what makes wine culture so much kind of associated with France?
Wine is a pleasure. It's a great pleasure. And you must wine with a small quantity, but you must take your time to taste and appreciate it. And it's a way for people gather and speak together, exchange, and that's why I say it's a way of life, because in general the wine is drunk all around the table, mixing with food, and wine will find its proper dimension mixed with food. Of course, it's changing now, and you have the young generation, different countries, more and more they drink wine before lunch, just the wine in the glass. It's a kind of to open their appetite, you know. It's a kind of aperitif, I would say, and it's a lower rate of alcohol than the big spirits, traditional, such as whiskey or bourbon, which are 40, 42, 45 degrees of alcohol. Wine is 12, 13, 14. It's lighter and better for health.
And there is a particular type of glasses for red wine, white wine, champagne. Why are they in that way?
It is a very specialty. I could not speak a long time about, but the shape of the glass will give a particular sense to the aromas which are going out from the wine. The aromas of the wine, from the champagne, from the red wines, are different, you know. And you have different shape of glass which can put in value the different aromas you can find in the wine. Okay.
Now back to Mongolia. Obviously, how many countries you are selling your wine to?
Our wine is sold all over the world.
Okay.
All countries which are drinking wine, some are not.
Yes.
But in Asia, it is true that there is the biggest part of the countries in Asia are drinking wine.
Okay.
Not for a very, very long time. I think the first market to import large quantities, except Hong Kong, which is special. Hong Kong 50 years ago was English, you know. But the first culture to drink wine was Japan.
Japan,
But all the countries now followed that.
Okay. How do you see Mongolian market?
It will be my next discovery during the next 3 days.
Okay.
We spoke yesterday on a number of inhabitants, so it's not a big number, not as much as a Chinese country, you know. But it's important for us to be here because the economy of Mongolia is now very open to the world, and we are sure that our wine, which is appreciated everywhere, should be appreciated in Mongolia, of course.
Let's talk about China and Russia, compared with China and Russia.
For the Chinese and for the Russians, and maybe next time for the Mongolia people, red September wine as Angelus is a luxury product.
Okay.
And people drink Angelus as they like to drive a Ferrari or Aston Martin, or to have a Sake Hermes, you know.
Okay.
And it's a way of positioning in society.
Well, that high branding, or once you have found your market niche and your brand, and you have to work constantly,
of course,
to be at your level.
Yes.
Is it difficult in a wine business?
What is difficult is not to fall asleep. It means you must, every year, at each crop, each harvest, we must find something which will make the wine better. And there is no hand in wine. And the more you are looking for, the more you are making a better wine. And that's what want to taste the consumers.
Эрхэмтэй Luxury King Tower апартментийн ипотекийн 8% зээл хамрагдах боломжтой Кристалл ангиллын 58-аас 80 м2 болон 400 м2 хүртэлх талбай бүхий тансаг зэрэглэлийн орон сууцнаас яг одоо сонголтоо хийн. Хотгонд байрлах олон улсын хөтөлбөрүүдийг хэрэгжүүлэгч Монгол оюун сургууль цэцэрлэгийн цогцлборт хайр төрсөө суралцуулах 1 жилийн эрхийн бичиг бэлгэн даваарай. Аз жаргалтай амар тайван амьдралын эхлэл Luxury King Tower.
It looks like it's very peculiar test and work because, well, in Lamborghini or the ordinary car you compare, you know, design, you know, speed. in wine, what makes those differences?
You know, it's not the taste of wine. I'm sure that, as for the cars, you have very good and cheap cars. For the wine, it is the same. You have very good wines at every price, any price, everywhere in the world. So after, it's a question of brand. Why people like brand? And in wine, you find brand, like you have brand in bags, in cars, in spirits, and plenty of places, resort places. You know, that's only a question of fame in people's mind.
Yet with the good brand, people's expectations are high, and I think merciless in a certain way. They wait the quality.
Yeah, exactly.
Try everywhere the same
Yeah.
quality. And it makes also comfortable the people expecting their quality,
Sure.
isn't it?
Sure, especially for the wine, there is a label. And when people know the label, and if they have tasted the wine, they know the label. And what we must be sure is when they see the label, they will buy it because they know which is inside is very good.
On the other side, I mean, along with the hard work to keep that level quality, you have certain limits, right? In France, in particular, you produce certain amount of Bordeaux wine. What is that about, and why is that?
What do you?
There's certain limit of
course,
government
of course.
quota.
It means you cannot imagine. Wine is not industrial. Wine, the production of wine depends of the nature, and you can imagine to put your earth richer with adding some products to produce more.
Yes.
But if you produce too much, the wine will be diluted. The taste will not be the same.
I see.
And the potential of aging will not be the same. You know, wine can age. It means a great wine, you can keep it in your home. You can keep it at home in a good cellar during 20, 25, 30, sometimes 50 years. And you cannot do it when you produce too much per hectare. That's why there is a limitation of the production per hectare.
I see. So that you just don't use much fertilizer or some other chemicals, so that you grow with
only in places which are a little poor. We can analyze the soil. What is in the soil, and maybe we can add something if there is a lack of product inside. But in general, we don't have to fertilize.
Do you grow wines in other places other than Bordeaux?
Other places in Bordeaux, yes, because our family is big now. We have children, and the generation are added. And we must find good place for our children when they want to settle and to become producer.
So the name, to keep the standard, it is really hard work to have this. And then with the aging, good products grow in that way, right?
Yes.
Is there a big competition?
It's a for us, it's a competition of fame.
Okay.
In Bordeaux, you have what we call the classification. The chateau, the growth are classified, sometimes for a very long time. And there is a competition to produce the best and the most famous product. But in terms of pleasure to drink, I cannot tell you. People will have, if the wine is 10 times more expensive, they will not have 10 times more pleasure, you know?
It doesn't mean that,
No,
10
no.
times more pleasure. Oh, okay. You said by chateau. How are chateaus classified in France?
Yeah, there was two main classifications.
Okay.
One in the 19th century for the left bank wines, which was never changed. And there are fifth level of classification: first, second, third, fourth, fifth.
Okay.
And on the right bank in Saint-Emilion, the classification was made 100 years after, in 1955. And it was decided from the beginning that the competition should be renewed every 10 years. So we were not classified first at the beginning, and we were rewarded in 2012 and being promoted first classified grow A.
Okay, your chateau, when did it start?
The first production?
Wine, yes.
Oh yes, the oldest bottle we find in auction was 1899.
1899. It's almost 900.
Yeah.
Okay, so that means 116 years old chateau in a way.
Probably, sure, the family was settled in the place at the time of the French Revolution, 200 years ago.
Okay.
But at this time, probably they did not produce only wine, but probably there were cows in the grass and different things, you know.
So this, since you have mentioned about French Revolution, since that France is so much changed, the reform or devaluated, certain evaluation had happened. In wine industry, what was the major changes to your best knowledge, since you have been board of director of the chateau for many years, and it's from your wife's side, the famous family staying there, right? And what was the major changes in the?
I think in the vineyards, there was not so many changes, and sometimes there were experimentation, but now the old methods are coming back again, especially to have a very clean way of working in the soil, you know, and avoid to use pesticides and products which are not good for health. The biggest change for me happened in the cellar. And especially, you know, in the cellar, we must ferment the fruit. And there is technology now to help the winemaker to exactly control the biggest part of these events. Not 100%, but now in the cellar there is no more accidents. And once the grapes are arrived into the winery, we know what will be the quality of the wine.
I see.
As it was not the same for the former generation. You know, they must have the good grapes, and after the good grapes, they should have to make a good wine, and they have not enough instruments, enough technology to produce a perfect product. And now we are sure to control 90% of the events.
That means you have kind of laboratory inside.
Yes, enology is a science.
Yes.
And now you have plenty of way to analyze this exactly, to see what is inside the wine, to not to bottle before all the fermentation and all the process is finished. Now, people have the knowledge. It was not the case 50 years ago.
I see. So that you can manage and you can predict in which way you can have the best product out of that particular year harvest.
Yes.
In that sense, when do you bottling? When are you bottling the wine?
We bottle the wine in general, 2 years after the harvest.
Okay.
It means the wine is made during the 3 first months. Now we are in November. The harvest finished 3 weeks ago. It's not wine yet. It's still fermented juice, and it's to finish all the fermentations, alcoholic fermentation, malolactic fermentation. It is very technical, but this is important.
Yes.
And after early December, in 1 month, the wine will go in barrel, in oak barrel, to be aged during 21, 22 months.
Okay, and this barrel usually which size?
I can give you, it contains 225 liters, exactly 300 bottles.
Okay.
So it's a limited volume.
250 liters in our terms. Okay.
Which gives exactly 300 bottles.
Okay. With then, well, you should not lose any drop even if you you have problem there. Then after 2 years, from the barrel, you bottle them into bottles.
Yeah.
And some bottles have a kind of hole, we say, in the bottom.
Yeah.
Why is that?
Oh, for a physical reason. It's because when you put the bottle standing, it must be stable. And to put a shape on the bottom is a way to increase the weight of the glass on the bottom. And when it's very heavy on the bottom, the bottle is more stable. If you have the same quantity of weight of glasses everywhere,
it can fall.
It can fall, yeah.
On one side.
It's only a question of stability.
Stability.
Yeah.
It is not the issue of somebody is coming and turning that around, because I saw not horizontal but a little bit declined way, and you can turn it, the bottle, no?
Oh, no. But sometimes, in the old times, the shape of the bottle was not perfect because it was not industrial. It was made by blowing. And so it was glass, not perfectly round. But now you have the perfect, it's an industrial product, and you have the perfect shape. And
but some bottles have no that hole.
Yes.
Just the bottom very flat.
We call them standard bottles.
Standard, okay.
Yes, it's very cheap, of course, but it's not a guarantee that the bottle is stable.
Okay. Then in terms of wine, you keep the wine, say after 2 years you bottle, and how long you have it? You keep them before you sell. It's a special policy, or it doesn't depend on it?
We have our own choice, but the consumer, each consumer has its choice.
Yes.
In general, the young consumer, they drink young wine. They don't want to wait 20 years.
Okay.
It means, for example, Angelus, the young consumer in America, in China, they drink the 2009, 2010, 2011. It's for me, it's too early.
Okay, okay. My final question on that, in this regard, we say that wine is aging, and with the aging, wine is becoming better.
Yeah.
What makes better then? I know with the human it makes experience.
I should not have told it's better. The wine becomes more complex. It's different. And
like a person.
And exactly. And some people don't look for complexity. They look for fruits, big sensation, powerness. In general, the young people, that's what they want. And when you become more mature, you are looking for something more complex, and especially to drink wine with complex food. That's for older people.
Okay. Very interesting knowledge you have shared with us.
Thank you very much.
And I hope it will give right information and knowledge about wine, which is a big culture in Europe and in the world increasingly. So we are very happy to have you on this show and on our interview to have some part of this information. Thank you very much.
Thank you for
inviting me. Good luck for your business.
Thank you very much.
Thank you. За хүн төлөвчтэй өнөөдөр манай дефакто нэвтрүүлгийн зочноор Францын алдартай Бордо мужийн Angelus гэдэг нэртэй цайз, за Шату гэж ярьдаг. Энэ компани туузын дарга нь оролцлоо. Их баярлалаа.